I can admit I've been a little bit out of touch with certain Canadian political stories over the past couple of weeks, and part of that's due to the fact that I haven't been uploading videos as often, and part of that is also due to the fact that I'm running for the Conservative Party nomination for Calgary Signal Hill. So if you live in Calgary Signal Hill, make sure to buy a Conservative Party membership and vote for me, and get your friends and family to do that too. Shameless plug at the start of the video, but if you don't want a red Tory representing a strong Conservative riding in Calgary, make sure to support me. I would be immeasurably honored for you to help me out. But the reason I also haven't been covering many Canadian political scandals going on, like the ArriveCan scandal, is because I actually don't think it's actually that worthwhile to talk about. Yes, I'm happy that media companies are, covering it. The National Post, a lot of independent media is going after the Liberals on the ArriveCan scandal. But the reason why I don't think it's worthwhile for me to talk about it, at least as a commentator, is I don't think this is why Canadians are shifting against the Liberals. The Liberals have survived many bigger scandals than the ArriveCan scandal in the past 8 years. SNC-Lavalin, the We Charity scandal, these were hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of the value of the fraud going on, whether it was, the deferred prosecution agreement for SNC-Lavalin, pretending that they didn't do anything shady in Libya and whatnot, and giving a lot of big contracts to We Charity for like education and summer camps and stuff like that. That's obviously a much bigger scandal than the ArriveCan one, which is only the value of it, again, still disgusting. It's still only $54 million. It does involve charter violations because the ArriveCan app was preventing Canadians from leaving the country if they weren't getting vaccinated. Obviously disgusting. But I think we've all seen over the past 8 years many Canadians who are willing to sort of switch between the Liberals and the Conservatives, or who are usually not voters and will maybe vote Conservative to get rid of the Liberals. They're not really voting based on these financial scandals going on. They're voting based on affordability issues and I think social issues. And I think social issues have actually become the more important thing to take down the Liberals. Obviously, affordability issues are extremely, extremely stressed these days just because of how bad of shape many Canadians are in, including myself, financially speaking. That this is the sort of thing that even took down Stephen Harper. The economy wasn't fantastic in 2015 because of the fall in the price of oil. So naturally, that hurt the Conservative Party of Canada's government. But at the same time, that can happen to any government. If the economy sort of reverses on them, they look like they're the ones who did it. Obviously, I think the Liberal Party of Canada has far more culpability for the bad economy in Canada because of the massive amounts of spending, inflation, regulations, taxes, and whatnot. And they deserve every ounce of scorn they get from Canadian taxpayers for the gouging of them and the putting at risk of their financial health. But why I think wokeism is the thing that's going to take down Justin Trudeau is while all these financial scandals and even these bad economic stories were affecting Justin Trudeau in the 2019 and 2021 elections, yet he survived those elections. You could say that the affordability issues are so much worse now, but that was pretty much true like 8 months or 9 months ago. But back then, the polling showed that the Liberals could still easily win the most seats in Parliament after the 2025 election. What I think has hurt Justin Trudeau most recently is many voters who say, well, I don't really like his economic plans, but you know what? I share his values. He's nice, he's progressive, he has a positive vision of Canada. When he started calling parents wondering about what's going on inside the classroom, who were concerned about the things being placed in libraries in their schools and inside the curriculum, and he called them extremists, that's when I think he lost a lot of his voter base, especially Muslim voters and any other religious voters who are still left in the Liberal Party. They realize that this man he's not maybe just bumbling on economic issues, but hey, he's an inclusive guy. He's nice. He makes Canada seem like a nice progressive utopia. He doesn't. He's actually a very venile, narcissistic, hateful individual. And this is what woke politics do to people. It makes them think of themselves as, fighting always constantly villains. Everyone's a villain around them who doesn't exactly believe what they want, what they believe. And this has cracked Justin Trudeau's voter coalition because he's now had to divide his voter coalition between, bigots and the pure liberal progressives. So he's effectively sided with the SJW left, the social justice left, against the sort of Muslim voters who used to vote liberal in massive numbers. I think they 47% or 46% of the Muslim vote usually went for the liberals, which in a multi-party system is a great number to win of any demographic. They're losing that group severely because Justin Trudeau can't get off the gender ideology stuff. He can't stop attacking parents. And I think a lot of moderate Canadians who might have even voted Trudeau in 2021 and 2019, who weren't even particularly strong religious voters, they also are realizing that Justin Trudeau just simply doesn't really like the country of Canada very much. That he's not really someone who thinks that we're a great place on the world. There's a reason why he talks a lot about Canada being the first post-national state, the first international country on the planet. It's because he doesn't really like Canadian values. He doesn't like traditional family values that came out of the West. He thinks that's all bad stuff. And while he talks nicely about Canada, he only talks about Canada insofar as that Canada is a tool for his brand of progressive politics. You didn't really ever see this with Chrétien, Harper, or any prime minister before them. They all at least had a fundamental love for Canada's character, for the history of Canada, whereas Justin Trudeau is the type of guy who like literally says that Canada is committing an ongoing genocide against Indigenous people in this country, a complete insult to both Canadians today as well as Indigenous people to pretend that they are suffering from genocide, while the Liberal government is actually one of the biggest players in holding Indigenous people down by refusing to let pipelines be built on their land, by using basically the protesters' veto, by having, usually foreign-funded protest groups protest against pipelines, and the Liberal government uses that as a reason to not give Indigenous people jobs. This is all just disgusting behavior from the Liberals, and it all comes from his woke Marxist-type ideology. I've said it before, I don't consider Justin Trudeau a socialist in the purest sense. He's not an economic socialist. I think he's a corrupt crony not even capitalist, basically a crony corporatist. He hands out money to all of his friends, just like the ArriveCan scandal. $11 million went to Liberal friends who merely subcontracted out the ArriveCan app development to another company. They literally got an $11 million middleman fee to just hand off the job to somebody else. That's all gross and whatnot. But Justin Trudeau is more not a socialist economically. He is a Marxist socially. Jagmeet Singh is more so the Marxist socialist on both economic and social views. But Justin Trudeau is more so the purist social Marxist. And that has been the reason why he's been able to maintain his leadership, in my opinion. A lot of people always talk about, well, when are they going to throw in Mark Carney? When is Chrystia Freeland going to be the leader? Not that people want them to be the leader. They're just wondering, how has Justin Trudeau survived this long as the Prime Minister of Canada while he's led his party to two non-majority defeats? And it's really because he brought in a lot of the orange Liberal crowd, people who might have voted for the NDP in 2011. He brought them in because they're not here for economics. They don't care about economics. They just care about pushing their progressive values, their anti-religious values onto Canadians. And I think people who, again, might not be very religious themselves realize that Justin Trudeau has a little bit too much of an interest in kind of breaking up their own family dynamic at home. That he has a little bit too much of a pro-state sort of frame of mind when it comes to the way that Canadians should behave in public. He censors speech on social media because he believes in sort of the nebulous concept of hate speech. He thinks that the public sector should be more involved in disseminating information online. He is very much a big government type, social progressive, that he believes that his progressive values, he shouldn't just convince you to believe them. He will force you to believe them. And even if you mostly agree with him, if you don't agree with him enough, he will eventually call you a bigot for not going all the way. He is, at the end of the day, a radical. And I think that Canadians are seeing that in his sort of posturing over the last year. Bill C-11, Bill C-18, new hate speech type legislation that they want to bring in, his shutting down of the truckers in 2022. All of this led a lot of people to realize that Trudeau is not just a friendly progressive who's willing to fight hard in the public for what he believes, he is willing to cram it down on you. And that's where I think a lot of Canadians are scared. Especially, I think a lot of the fear on economic issues is that if you don't believe the values that the Canadian government believes under Trudeau, then you might be the type of person to have your bank account frozen. You might have contracts frozen if you had any with the federal government. You might not be able to work in a workplace if you share certain conservative values. That's where I think Trudeau is falling apart. That's why you see the big exodus of people from his party as soon as the parental rights fight happened, that you didn't see when the economy was just slumping. If people were voting on economic issues, he wouldn't have won in 2019, definitely wouldn't have won in 2021. He was only holding on because of he claimed the fake moral high ground on social issues, and now he's completely lost that. Anyways, that should be pretty much it for me today. I have my Give Send Go link for my legal fund in the description of this video below. I'm the case that I'm fighting against this Chinese billionaire is going very well. We might even be able to end the case early, hopefully. But other than that, also make sure to go check out my website in the description of this video for my Calgary Signal Hill conservative nomination campaign. If you live in Calgary Signal Hill, or if you know anyone who lives in Calgary Signal Hill, look up the boundaries of the riding so you're sure. Make sure to buy or get them to buy a membership to vote for me, because in this riding we really do not want a red Tory who just wants to talk about scrapping the carbon tax but will effectively let the left always win on social issues. Social issues matter, and it's what has put Canada into the state of chaos that we're in today. It's not just the financial slump we're in, it's the fact that Justin Trudeau is trying to take a sledgehammer to the value sort of stilts that the country stands up on. Other than that, I hope everyone has a great day, and keep waiting for the next video. Hopefully it's going to be faster than it usually is. I'm sorry that I've been slower in the past, but I have been door knocking a lot in my area.